All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jess, and I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator for NAMI Valley of the Sun. Welcome to our monthly educational seminar, where we bring the community together to learn more about mental health, strengthen understanding, and share helpful resources. Sorry, someone else just joined. NAMI Valley of the Sun is the local affiliate of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We serve all of Maricopa County, and our mission is to improve the quality of life for individuals and families impacted by mental health conditions through support, education, and advocacy. All of our programs are free and are led by trained facilitators with lived experience. Some of those include support groups for individuals and families, educational classes such as our family to family and peer to peer, and then presentations like In Our Own Voice and Ending the Silence, and community outreach and resource connection. Just as general housekeeping, you're welcome to type any questions into the chat at any time. And we ask that everyone be respectful and mindful that this is a supportive learning environment. Today's topic is understanding the risks of sextortion, and our presenter is Katie McPherson. She's a digital and wellness advocate and educator specializing in the intersection of student behavior, digital environments, and school safety. She currently serves as Director of Community Outreach for a leading school safety app and has led community and statewide initiatives on youth suicide prevention and mental health advocacy through Arizona. Please join me in welcoming Katie.
Thank you so much for having me here today. Just a little bit about me prior. So I work for a company called Bark. I sort of have two jobs. I work for a company called Bark. We are an online safety app that supervises, surveils, and monitors students both at school and at home. So if your child's school district is a Bark district, we are running in the background of all of their G Suite accounts or Microsoft Office accounts, making sure that they are safe. So we alert schools, law enforcement, counseling, and admin staff to things like bullying, predation, drugs and alcohol, violence, threats to self, threats to schools. You name it, if it's safety related, we will be alerting the school of that. Some typical things that pop up on that front, a lot of students, especially during COVID, were using Google Docs to sort of journal back and forth with each other. They even use Excel spreadsheets to bully each other, if you can believe that. And so anything that is living in their student account that would be a safety risk to them or to someone else, there's a dashboard that the administration has, and they can see sort of the behavioral insight into what student A said, what student B said. That also includes sextortion, includes sexting, includes inappropriate photos. So if student A sends an inappropriate or nude photo to student B, we would stop the image from going through, and that would go into the school district's Google Vault. So we don't actually see the images, but we know if there's too much skin, there's a problem. And so that goes into the school district's Google Vault. They don't also have access to something like that. But they can certainly speak to there was a concerning image, and then law enforcement would have access if there was indeed a crime. So if you're not aware, sexting and sextortion are obviously crimes in the state of Arizona. Most of our kids are being exposed to that kind of thing between the ages of 8 and 12. The average age of sexting is 11. So for those of you that have heard me before, I often say we've handed over the Ferrari with no driver's ed. And so it's no wonder that our kids are sending inappropriate things, receiving inappropriate things. The access and the exposure that they have to these things is so widespread, and it's really not their fault. I have a little disclaimer here on my screen that I always put up because I do talk about some not so fun things, and I talk about things that are sometimes heavy. And so if you have to leave because of that, I understand. If you need resources, you definitely can contact NAMI, obviously, and then we have 988 teens in the state of Arizona on the back of their student ID cards if you haven't seen them in grades 6 through 12. And then our university students also have the Teen Lifeline number on the back of their student ID cards, which is a super fantastic resource that we may have time to talk about at the very end of the presentation. And so today is really about digital wellness. It's about sextortion, understanding the risks. I always like to preface any presentation that I do around reminding people that childhood is not the same. The environment has changed. The risks are different but similar. They are escalating. As I said, the access and the exposure that our kids have to things is different. And so the digital red flags that we get, whether it is violence or self-harm or suicidal ideation or something like sextortion, the digital red flags are both a shared responsibility between parents as well as schools. Certainly, we have prevention agencies that work in our schools that are a part of that shared responsibility. But on the slide in front of you, I've shown this before during my NAMI presentations. I literally show it everywhere I go because I want people to understand that it's not just the phones. It's not just social media. It's not just video games. Like we have all of these things intersecting. One of those big things is that kids don't know life without a device. This is their world. We may not have grown up with a device or a smartphone or video games that are like they are today, but we have to live in this world with them. And so I think it's important to understand like this is their world. There's a vast gap between adult school people, for sure, and students understanding how to make policy, how to give kids second chances, what's a re-entry plan look like when a kid makes a digital mistake. I always tell kids there's no mistake in person or online that we can't help you with. The topic of sextortion is full of shame, full of embarrassment, full of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? One of the most protective things we could do for our kids is start at a very young age, opening those communication channels and making sure that they know, when they're little, this is the no trouble bubble. There's nothing you can't tell me. There's nothing we can't handle together. I'm in this with you. Even if they're in trouble, even if there's a consequence, there's nothing mom and dad can help you with. There's nothing grandma can help you with. The trusted adults at school need to be trusted. And so I do a lot of training for schools around what is a trusted adult. What I hear from students around that is empathy, listening, and validation. That's really all most kids need from us is I just need somebody to listen to what's going on. I would love some direct empathy and I would love some validation. I don't know what it's like to break up with someone of 8 months and have all of the photos of us pulled down in 2 seconds off of Instagram after an extended period of time of everybody thinking we're a couple. I don't know what it's like for somebody to create a deep fake nude of not my body, but my head with someone else's body that looks like my body, but isn't my body, and send that around the school. Like, I have no concept of how hard that could be. And so I think we really need to dig into these topics and understand not only do we have, a phone issue, a social media issue, but we also have academic pressure. We have removal of rough and tumble play. One of my favorite things to talk about is voice and playground behavior, which is weird because I have 5 sisters, I have 4 daughters, I have no brothers, and I have no sons. But about 95% of my school day when I was a school administrator was talking to boys about their behavior, mostly their physical behavior, the touching, the pushing, what we would call off task, the locker room behavior in the breezeway, pushing and shoving each other. Boys bond by moving objects through space, bodies, pencils, basketballs, like whatever they can get their hands on, they're moving it. And they get in a lot of trouble at school for it. When they're out on the recess playground, one of the things they love to do is to get that energy out, to get that natural aggression out. When we started staffing 17 people around the playground, and saying, don't run, don't do this, don't climb on that, don't jump, don't, all of that natural aggression is sitting on our boys. And so if you have a friend that's like a kindergarten teacher or a fourth grade teacher, and they're thinking about leaving the profession, there's a reason, because we're restricting movement in the classroom. And then when they have a chance to free play, we're even restricting that. And so all of this natural stuff that we used to get out is now on them. And then they race home and they are on these devices and they're not moving their bodies either. So we have a lot going on. I talk all the time about bullying and that not everything is bullying. It's called conflict most of the time. Two kids sometimes have very tiny brains and say things they don't mean. Sometimes those things are mean. Sometimes those things are annoying. Sometimes those things are rude, but not every single little thing that happens in a school day or even at home is bullying. When we started sort of swooping in and intervening and saying, okay, you're the bully, you're the victim, kids lost agency and voice in their own life. And so what we're finding right now is we have fourth graders, eighth graders, 10th graders, college freshmen, college seniors who have no idea how to look at someone and say, that was really rude. Why did you say that? Don't treat me like that. We've been friends forever. Why didn't you invite me to the birthday party? Why did you say I couldn't sit with you at lunch? Like they just don't have the back and forth vocabulary anymore. And so, when we look at things like sextortion, when we look at things that they have access and exposure to on their devices, I think about all of this. I think about it is not easy to be a kid right now, and parents have not caught up to all of the things that are going on. And so today, again, is just a little appetizer. I love to give resources. These are two of my very favorite books, because behind sextortion, behind something like sexting somebody, behind making a decision of should I do this, should I not do this, should I tell my parents, should I tell someone, are all of these things that fall in the bucket of coping and resiliency. And really, again, having that open communication. I have 4 daughters. We have a password. If anything is going on in their life that they can't handle, if they're at an unsupervised party because they all night drive now, if they are somewhere and they have gotten themselves in a jam, we have a password that they text, and it means come get me right now. No questions asked. And that no questions asked part is a really powerful piece of having a password like that. Questions can come later, but that password to us means this sleepover's not going so well for me, or this party is getting out of control and I maybe made a bad decision in coming here. So these books that I'm giving you titles to right now have just really helped me as a parent understand how to navigate this new world. The book on the left is How to Raise a Boy. It's a brand new release about a year ago by Richard Reeves. He's an amazing researcher from back east. And then this Self-Driven Child book is probably my very, very favorite book in like the whole wide world, because it really speaks to what's going on between parents and children in America right now. And that is really well-intentioned parents who are terrified that their kid is going to get hurt, not going to make it, maybe not go to college, not going to be up to snuff with the rest of their peers. And so a long time ago, over 20 years ago, we started sort of parenting as a verb. Like my parents are great, but in my day, it was like in or out of the house and preferably out. Like they were not hovering over me. They did not do my homework with me. They did come to my games, but they didn't come to every practice and they didn't come to every game. Like there was a sense of autonomy in my own life. I had a ton of choices. I was out in the neighborhood all the time. We didn't have social emotional learning. We had the neighborhood. That's where we learned all the things. And so this book really focuses on giving your children more control over their own lives at a developmentally appropriate age. Obviously, we're not giving a 5-year-old free for all, but we are giving a 5-year-old two choices. Like, do you want to do this or this? Like, just because dad played NFL football doesn't mean you have to play football. You can try softball. You can try flag football. Like, there are choices in life. One of the biggest things that we're seeing mental health wise is kids not feeling like they have a sense of control over their own lives. And we know when brains feel like, I got this, I have flow, I have competence, I have confidence, that they thrive. And we know when we put too much pressure on them, or they even put their own self-induced pressure on themselves due to things that may be in their environment, they kind of like wilt like a little flower. And so we have super high achieving kids that unfortunately are wilting. We have super high achieving kids that just feel very anxious and sometimes depressed and worse. And so if I could give you one recommendation, like this is the book to understand. And as it relates to sextortion, a lot of what happens with sextortion and sexting and all the things that go into that is a loss of a sense of control. Like somebody has an image of me. I don't know what to do. I don't think I can tell my parents, like, what am I going to do about this? So that sense of control is really important. Another part of the book that I love is the acronym inside the book is NUTS. Like, when do brains go nuts? When something's novel, so that's the N of nuts, unpredictable, sexting and sextortion and online is totally unpredictable. Threat to ego, somebody sextorting you is absolutely a threat to ego. And then S is the sense of control is low. So I just love that acronym because when people call me and they're like, I don't know what's going on with my 15-year-old, I show them like the nut slide. And I'm like, which one of these, or maybe all of them, are going on for your child? Additionally, as I said, if you're looking for some great books on boys and girls, Saving Our Sons, again, amazing book. Tons of strategies about how to raise our boys, how to help them thrive. On the right-hand side, Untangled is probably my #1 favorite book about girls. The author is Dr. Lisa D'Amour. She also has a podcast that's amazing. She wrote another book called The Emotional Lives of Teens. This is the book that I refer to all the time, even this morning. The first chapter is called Departing Childhood. The second chapter is called Allergic to Questions. So I don't know if any of you are in that like 8-year-old to 18-year-old phase of raising a beautiful girl. But they do go through, they start departing around 8, 9, 10 years old, which is super early. And it kind of escalates from there for a while and it ebbs and flows. And they become a little allergic to questions sometimes. So if you're looking for some great resources, again, can't say enough great things. And then lastly, I spent a long time at the middle school. 7th graders are like my people. I think they are wildly misunderstood. It's such a huge growth spurt for them. If you're looking for a great book, I would read this if I were a parent of like a 4th or 5th grader who's eventually going to rise into 6th, 7th, 8th. It's a great prevention book. Additionally, Thrivers, the surprising reasons why some kids struggle and others shine. That academic pressure that I named earlier, this book is all about what are the 7 characteristics or qualities of kids that are successful. One of the most interesting research studies in this book is by a man named Dr. Alan Krieger. He unfortunately passed away during COVID, but he was a professor at Princeton. He was an econ professor, and he looked at kids at age 18 and he looked at them at 36. He looked at their mental health, their physical health, and their financial success. And he was able to track back to 18, like the kids that had really good life skills, that knew how to cope, that were resilient, that were compassionate, that gave back to their communities, that really knew how to like manage all of the executive functioning skills. Those kids at 36 were financially successful and pretty healthy. He also did a neat study around what colleges you get into and what colleges you apply to, and how those don't always indicate sort of that lifelong success that he was talking about in the other study. So if you're interested in, grades and metrics, like one of the tenets of this book is grades are not everything. It's only one metric of success, and that we're focusing on the wrong things. So if you're looking for some great resources, those are my top ones. Phone-based childhood. So the sextortion thing. Um, we keep handing over these devices at very young ages. One of the reasons that I work at Bark is because I love what we do, and that is we protect kids. And we protect kids with an app, we protect kids with a watch, and we protect kids with a phone. So you don't have to give an old iPhone that in your junk drawer with internet and TikTok and Snapchat to a 12-year-old. There are other products out there. Bark is just one of them. The other companies out there are Gab, Gabb, Pinwheel, and Trumi. And so we did this weird thing post Columbine, post 9/11, where we're like, okay, schools are unsafe and the world is unsafe. And so my kid needs a phone. My kid needs a phone because if they can get shot up at school, this phone is going to save them, which is a really false safety message because we know that phones don't save lives. What saves lives are kids that are trained, that have situational awareness, that are empowered to use their voice and their tiny legs to get the heck out of wherever they are. But this phone-based childhood has become more of a tether to parents where they're like, okay, like if I can track your location, you must be safe. And that goes for, Life 360. It also goes for the grade portal at school. Like every Friday, I get a download of like all the missing assignments or anything that like didn't go so well. The grade portal was built as a communication tool to track your kids' progress towards mastery. It was not used as like, give me your keys, you can't go out this weekend. It was not built so you can punish them and ground them and make them do your base sports, right? It's literally to give you behavioral insight, academic insight into this, just like things like Bark and Life 360. And so one of the things with sextortion is like, people ask me all the time, and I live in like South Chandler, Gilbert area, even just within my 5 to 7 mile radius, which would be from like Power Road all the way to Gilbert Road. I probably get at least 10 sextortion phone calls per month from local moms that are like, I came to your workshop. I've been following you for a while. I did all the things. I talked to my son, I talked to my daughter, and this still happened. And so it happens to good kids. It's not your kid that I'm worried about. It's the kids that don't have this information. It's the parents that are unaware. So I just feel so deeply that we like keep handing this stuff over like candy. And then we're like, why would you do that? Why would you send a photo of yourself? Like with zero training. I speak to 4th through 8th graders almost on a weekly basis, and I've been doing that for a while. And I learn a lot from 9 and 10-year-olds, and they know a lot and they see a lot. And Roblox and Fortnite have this access and exposure to pornography. If you don't know this, Snapchat, once you or your child opens a Snapchat account, on the front page of it, the For Your Eyes Only page, it takes you straight to pornhub.com. There is a free porn channel where it takes you straight there, and then you can upgrade to the upgraded version, right? So when people are like, how did he learn this? How did he see porn? Like even on YouTube Kids, the 5th video down, if you don't have your YouTube settings locked down, if you aren't using an app like Bark or GoGuardian or Securely or all the things, your kid can be open to that. Not to mention, your child is only as safe as their most unrestricted friend. So you can do all the things. You can have Bark, you can have the router, you can have a central charging station. You can do all the things I'm going to talk about today. And some joker on the soccer field is going to show your kid porn. Some joker on the bus, in the locker room, some at a sleepover. Nothing good happens at a sleepover with technology, by the way. someone is going to show your child porn. And so you have to talk about bodies. You have to talk about consent. You have to talk about intimacy. You have to talk about those things as they age, specifically from age like 7 to 18. Like it's starting, if the average age that a kid playing Fortnite or Roblox sees porn is 8, then you have to start at 6 or 7 talking about tricky strangers. Like, what would you do if somebody sent you something? What if you saw something really gross? Like, what would you do about that? And so, these poor kids, I feel so deeply for them. So a lot of what goes on with sextortion is underdeveloped brains. And underdeveloped brains want to know, and those of you that are trained social workers know the attachment and attunement theory of like, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be loved. So even for kids that are seen, heard, and loved all day long, who are confident and competent and all the things, still want that attachment to the outside world and to their peers. And so part of what goes into sexting and sextortion is taking typical risks like we did. We had spin the bottle and truth or dare. This is spin the bottle on steroids, and they have wide open access to the World Wide Web. And so a lot of what I see with this is idle time, and again, no restrictions and or no training. And so having these conversations is difficult. I'm going to give you some resources at the end of how to talk to your kids about this. There's another wonderful book called 14 Conversations to Have Before 14. It's amazing. It gives you all the step-by-step guides of how do you talk to your child about pornography. Another great resource for little kids. So K2 3-6 is Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. It's a wonderful book, Amazon.com. I think it's like $12. It's a picture book about how to talk to your child together about pornography and things like sexting and sextortion. So there's a ton of resources out there, but people ask me like, why would he do this? And I'm like, a teenage boy or a 12-year-old boy or an 18-year-old boy, like in the moment that they're doing this is using that downstairs brain. It's the quick thinking, it's the impulsivity, it's not thinking through things, it's not using the prefrontal cortex, right? Which, for our boys, that is developing around 26 to 32 years old. So a 13-year-old is a perfect target for sextortion. And for our girls, it's about 22 to 24. So if you have a 13-year-old girl, she's also may take some risks and send some things that she didn't really think about. I would also say like, this is an adult issue before it's a kid issue. We're constantly on our phones. We're constantly on our laptops. Like when I talk to these kids, I'm like, so what's one thing that you wish your parents would do? And they're like, put down their phone, get off their laptop at night. Like I'm trying to talk to my mom. And I'm actually trying to tell her something important and she's not listening to me. Now, that being said, we all have our financial livelihoods on our phone. We have these things called jobs. And so, yes, we need to be on them. But we all kind of got caught up in this madness with these phones. And so prior to age 2, we've taken about 2,000 photos of our kids. And so the addiction to our phones or the dependency on our phones is not just a kid thing. It starts with us, starts with what we're modeling, starts with what we show them. And so I do think from an overall digital wellness perspective, that is a piece of this conversation, is just really thinking about here's 18. How do I work backwards? What does 9 look like? What was 12? What's 15? What's 18? Part of that is we've been posting thousands of photos of our kids for like age 0, like in the delivery room, literally all the way till they're 18. And like most of the time, we're not asking them, are you okay if I post this of you? Like most of the time, they have a digital footprint that they gave 0 permission for. So when they get their own device and they have access to post this stuff, they're like, oh yeah, I'm posting all sorts of stuff. And again, no training. So the sexting, the sextortion thing, the curiosity around bodies, the new puberty age, 8.5 for our girls, 8.5 years old. Used to be probably 12 or 13. It's 8.5 or 9. So we have fourth, fifth, and sixth graders that are already have changing bodies. We have fifth grade girls with their period, right? Like that's pretty standard nowadays. And so with that comes this curiosity around, like my body is changing. And like if somebody asks for a photo, like, should I give it to them? And if I've never had a conversation about that, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. So again, conversations, open communication. We know that social media is terrible for our kids. We know it's an illusion. I'm sure you have friends that post something and you're like, that is so weird that they're posting this like gleeful picture with each other because yesterday she asked me if I had a divorce lawyer phone number. You know, like, we're all putting forward our, what we call our highlight reel or our front stage. Nobody's really talking about their backstage. And so our kids also have access at certain ages to social media. We have to be honest about what's going on. We have to be having these conversations about, this is really hard and this is an extra layer. And if you're going to use social media, let's do it together. If you have TikTok, I have TikTok. If you have Snapchat, I have Snapchat. We can no longer say, I didn't grow up with this. Like, I don't understand Snapchat. I think it's really stupid. It's totally stupid. I can verify it's totally stupid. I can also verify it's the devil. But if you're going to give it, you have to have it. Our school people, like our superintendents and our governing board members, typically they're like 50 to 80 years old. Not knocking them, but most of them don't have school age children anymore, and they're making policy around this. And so I invite them to things like this, and I'm like, let me show you what your students are dealing with. Please step in to this gap and close it. Because again, we have all of the data, all of the research. This is not a mystery. For those of you a couple of years ago, I don't know when we showed Childhood 2.0, but we showed Child 2.0 with NAMI. And we did a little Q&A after. So if you weren't here for this, on YouTube for free, you can watch this amazing documentary. I think it is still the best one. It's about 5 years old, but it is still very current, very relevant. I've seen Screenagers. I've seen Social Dilemma. I just saw Can't Look Away. I still think this is the best one. And the reason this is the best one is there are children ages 8 to 18 in this movie saying, if my parents knew what I saw last night, I would not have a phone. I would not have a video game. And when kids talk, I always listen. Additionally, in the movie, there are behavioral health therapists sprinkled throughout, ER doctors talking about this is what's going on. This is actually what's going on. So if you have time while you're driving, while you're on the treadmill, while you're around, I'd love for you to watch it. So YouTube, just type in Childhood 2.0. It is about 90 minutes long, but even if you watch 20 minutes of it, your life will be better. I promise, understanding all of the things that come with this. Additionally, I just want to showcase before I dig right into the sextortion stuff, digital mistakes. There's no digital mistakes. So this is a terrible hate page that was made about one of my neighbors, Hayden. There's no mistake that we can't help our kids with. They are getting crushed online and in person. And it's just like, so this was posted about her by a girl at school. She could not prove it. And then the next day, she went to Santan Junior High, and everybody's on the tennis courts talking about her in person. So she's getting slammed online and in person. And she's like, I'm in 8th grade. I have a very underdeveloped brain. Thankfully, she's got amazing parents. Thankfully, she went to them and said, look what somebody posted about me. And I had to black out like most of the bad words, like because it was so awful. This is like an appetizer of what happens to our kids. So when people are like, when should I give social media? I show them the slide. I'm like, this, when you are ready for your kid to be up against this and have no tools, there's no way to take this down. There's no human being to call Instagram and be like, take this down. There's nobody works there. Like you can block it, you can report it, you can have your 17 friends block and report, but there's no human being to help you. And any platform Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever, any platform that allows this and fentanyl and nudity and hate speech and sexting and cyber, all this stuff, does not care about our kids. I don't care if Roblox just rolled out like new parental controls. No, not enough. Keep going. Love you, but keep going. So I always just like to show like real life kid stuff that they've given me permission to show. Lastly, phones and tech have a place. I would highly, highly encourage you to have a central charging station. Most of the sextortion and sexting stuff, not always, it can happen at any time, happens at night, happens when parents go to bed. I cannot tell you how many boys, again, in this 5-10 mile radius, have snuck into their parents' bedroom and tried to steal their dad's wallet to pay the person who's sextorting them using their dad's Visa, using anything in that wallet, money, like gift cards, whatever they can get their hands on, because they just don't know what to do. And so having a central charging station, sitting down with your children and making a screen time contract and like, here are the non-negotiables. And here's what I want you to do. If you are ever up against something that seems so overwhelming or you made a mistake, we are here. We have to have those conversations. Boys especially need things to be visual. So the screen time contract, slap it on the fridge. Like when something goes wrong, like, remember we agreed on number 4, like we're going to work together on this, but kids need to be part of the conversation. It is totally and wildly unfair for us to say, here you go, here's 4 billion strangers, good luck, you're 10. And to expect that they're not going to make a mistake. And then, oh, you made a mistake, I'm going to take it away. And oh, I'm really tired, it's Monday and I had a bad day. So fine, you can have it back. Oh, you hit your brother, give it back to me. And there's this tug of war going back and forth in most American households, to include my own, around using these devices as sort of pawns in our parenting game. Like when we're ticked off, like, oh, give me that, as some huge carrot. And it's actually adding value to the thing that is frustrating you the most, which is really weird and warped. So central charging station, this is an example of our Bark family tech contract. You can Google family screen time contract. There's thousands of examples. This is just ours. Again, highly advised sitting down. What do you think is fair? You're 9, you're 12, you're 15, like whatever the thing is. Non-negotiables. We don't take nude photos. We don't share our bodies. If you receive one, what's our plan? If one of your friends, classmates, ex-girlfriend, girlfriend sends you a nude photo to try to talk to you, what are you going to do? Most children don't know if they share it. It is distribution of child pornography in the state of Arizona. It's a crime. Most kids freak out. They don't know what to do. Sometimes they delete it. Sometimes they share it. I would never want a kid to be charged with a crime because they didn't know what to do. I literally have been watching this since 2012. When I was an assistant principal in Scottsdale Unified, I had a school police officer next to my office, and I can remember at least 4 13 and 14-year-old boys who we had arrested. We had arrested because they were trading nude photos on campus. And at that time, it was a juvenile felony. It's so rampant that the judges are like, I can't keep up with this. So now they've dropped it to a misdemeanor. It's still really bad. It's still really important that we have these conversations. So this is the crux of my presentation today. There's this beautiful child down the street, who goes to Basha High, graduated last year, and he was sextorted. And he was like, Miss Katie, I don't know you, but my mom knows you, and your kids go to my school, and I need you to see what happened to me, what I did. And he's like, I have a 4.0. I'm a really smart kid. I am really smart, and I fell for this. And so what you're looking at in front of you is the perpetrator showing this child who's 18 at the time, so adult, here's your school. I know where you go. I know who you are. I know who your followers are. I can see you on Instagram. We just had a conversation as though I were a girl, but I'm not. And so now if you don't give me money, lots of money, I'm going to take the genitalia that you sent to me and I'm going to send it to all of your followers and completely exploit you. And so you can see the panic and the sheer terror that sets in for this child because he's like, I don't have any money. Like, I don't have a job. I don't have any money. I don't have a bank account. Like, I don't know what to do. So it goes on and on and on. Like, no, no, no. What do you want? How much? Fine. Give me a minute to figure this out. I don't have anything. The guy starts a countdown 987 654. I mean, this poor child. And again, well-resourced household, engaged parents. He went to his parents. There are a ton of kids, no matter where they live, no matter what their SES is, that don't have those people in their lives that they can go to. So identifying trusted adults at the school, in your family, caregivers, grandparents, aunts, uncles, secretaries, like whoever, if you couldn't go to that person, like who does your child have if anything like this were to happen to them? Pay me $200 and we're good. So most of these people do not reside in the United States. Most of these people are in West Africa. There is like a whole operation going on where they have bought track phones, which are those flip phones that you can get at Circle K for $10. They have no data plan. There's no way to track them. This is their day job. They literally, while he is texting this kid, his friend is sitting next to him texting this kid's best friend. And those two boys who go to Basher High School are not saying a word to each other about this because they are like, holy crap, this, nobody can know about this. Nobody can know that I fell for this photo of a girl at my school that I thought was a girl at my school is not. And so just like I can go to any of your Facebook or Instagram pages right now, I can take your profile pic and save it to my camera roll and create a whole Instagram account and make it look like I'm this super cute girl that goes to Bash High School. So this is the trajectory of what happened. And this interaction was 10 to 15 minutes max, maybe even shorter, before he started hammering him for money. The money piece of this, I think, is important too. So they have sort of switched it up where they're not asking for Venmo, they're not asking for PayPal, they're asking for Apple gift cards because they're untraceable. And so kids will go and buy them using their dad's Venmo account, using their dad's Visa, like whatever they can get their hands on. I have helped families whose children have sent over $2,000 to these people. I've helped families that have only spent $50. Like that's a good day if your kid gets off for 50 bucks. These people are terrible. They are evil. In order to track them down, we have been successful. There was actually a pretty big case out of Northern Michigan. There was a high school quarterback and he engaged in this, thought it was a cute girl. This happened to him. He sent the money and then he was like, this is the end. This is the end. I cannot overcome this. If I go to school tomorrow and somebody has a picture of my genitalia, I'm toast. And so he unfortunately went and got his dad's gun and died by suicide. The FBI, Homeland Security, all sorts of amazing people were able to track down his perpetrators and extradite them. And they are in a prison in Michigan. But that is like 1 in a million. Like these people, there is a senator in South Carolina, his son fell for this. There's another representative in Texas. Like, it doesn't matter who your kid is. Like, it's not about them. It's talking to them about this, showing them this. Like, I'm going to send you a link to my slides. Like, I think every kid, at an appropriate age should have a conversation and see, like, this is real. This is what happens. So I want to give you some resources. I have this amazing colleague named Chris McKenna. He runs a website and a company called Protect Young ICE. And he has these downloads, like what to do if my kids send a nude, what to do if they received one, what to do if they're sextorted, how to set up Snapchat so it's a little safer. not much safer. My kid talked to a predator. What do I do? It's all free, like literally free. You do have to give your email address, but I'm willing to do that because he's put together some amazing things. His website in general is phenomenal. Additionally, there's another website called Take It Down. So if your child engaged in this and or sent a nude, you can go to this website, you can upload the photo, and NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, is going to help take it down. So they have all of this technology to just go over the web and like try to grab it and take it down. One of the questions I get most often from mostly moms that call me, I haven't had a dad call me yet. The moms that call me are sobbing. Their son is next to them. It's typically a son. I haven't had anybody call me that was their daughter was sextorted, but it does happen to girls. But typically the mom is just inconsolable and is like, what do we do first? And so some of the things that I would walk them through is you can make a report to non-emergency police. I will tell you that Chandler and Gilbert are not overstaffed. And so it depends on the day if there's a patrol officer to come take a report. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Take it down would be the next step. And then the last step would be at the FBI. They have a 1-800 tip line where you can call, text, or email in and say, this happened to us. This is, what date it happened. This is what happened. Again, I would not expect the FBI to get back with you. This is happening literally every day, all day long, all night long. They can't keep up with it. So unfortunately, there's not like a ton of accountability going on yet. But like this take it down thing is better than anything I've seen so far. And it's a national organization that obviously helps missing and exploited children. So I would also say, so going back to the boy whose screenshots I showed you, he was like, Miss Katie, I need a therapist. Like, I need to talk to somebody. Like, my mom's great, but she's freaking out and we need help. And so I would highly recommend whether that's a school counselor, a school social worker, somebody outside of the school. Obviously, NAMI has a ton of resources, as do I. I'm happy to refer people out because it's traumatizing. It is absolutely traumatizing. And it's hard to know who to trust after that. Lastly, I would say the most important piece of this is they look for kids that have public accounts. So they're specifically looking for kids that care about their reputation. And this happens to college students too. Athletes, band members, like if they can look at your Instagram or your TikTok and say like, this kid has a ton of followers or enough of a following that I could ruin his life or her life, they will do it. So if you have a public Instagram, you're more vulnerable to this happening. It's not to say that a private Instagram would not be sextorted or have something odd happen, but most of the kids and young men and women that I've helped at the college level, they've had very public accounts, which goes back to the clout. Like kids, the more followers I have, the more popular I am, the cooler I am, right? And so trying to explain to a 15-year-old boy, like you cannot have a public Instagram account. I know you're the quarterback, but it has to be private is a hard conversation to have because even recruiters are looking for them. And so they need things to be public for, that purpose as well. So the sort of biggest digital red flag that happens with this is cute girl sends a photo, don't know her. Do you go to Basha? Yeah, I do too. Never seen you. Yeah, we must have different class. I mean, they're so slick, right? But the biggest red flag is when they move a kid from, let's say, Instagram to WhatsApp or Snapchat to WhatsApp because WhatsApp is so hard to trace, as is Snapchat. So if someone's trying to move your kid from one place to the other, that's a huge red flag. So in talking to most of these kids, they're like, oh yeah, I was on Instagram and then they wanted me to go to Snapchat, or I was on Snap and they wanted me to go to WhatsApp, or I was on Snap and they asked me to text. So remember that these burner phones don't have data plans, so that it is totally not traceable to track down who sent that, what the IP address is of the phone or the computer. Um, it's hard. It's really hard. So, in my parent nights, when I'm speaking specifically to parents at a school, when I'm speaking to educators at a conference, I'm recommending you start talking about these types of things around 7, 8, 9 years old. We want to get ahead of this. We want to make sure that when they hit those preteen years, that they know what to do, which is, not an easy conversation to have. Um, Most of the kids that I have talked to, and again, it's usually sobbing mom and the kid is next to her, are just, they're just like, damn, I thought I was smarter than this, And the mom's like, why? Why would you do this? We've had this conversation. And they're like, I don't know. I don't know. And they don't. Like in the moment that it's happening, they're in that very underdeveloped part of their brain. So in their defense, like you can be the best of kids and still make mistakes. And so I think it's just important to remember all of that, stuff that NAMI stands for, the communication and the resources and the support, and we're all in this together, I think is really important to remember. So I will shut up since I have been talking for a very long time and open for any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
I was just going to say that I don't have any questions, I don't think, but that this was really informative and really great. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and as I said, I made a link to this presentation as a PDF, so I'll send that to Christina and feel free to share it far and wide. As I said, I think the best resource around this is going back to those step-by-step guides. Like I would download all of them. They're free, and just have them on hand, share them in your mom's group, share them on your Facebook. Like, I mean, this is unfortunately the world that our kids are living in. And it is difficult to maneuver, but we have a ton of resources. I think Jill had a question.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. I put a couple things in the chat, but I'm not
Yeah.
savvy at this. But how can I easily share a link of this to others? I know you said you're recording it, but I'm just not sure how to be made aware of where to direct them.
Yeah, I think so. We'll end up putting it on our website, and I can send out a little boost email where on our website it'll be listed on for NAMI BOS.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And this was excellent. Thank you so much for offering this.
Do we have any other questions?
I did come up with one actually.
Sure.
Just really quickly, these topics are sensitive, I guess, and I would definitely venture to say I have 3 boys, and I would definitely venture to say that in conversations that we've had in the past, they feel very awkward. Um,
Yes.
do you have any like recommendations on how to, so what we've done kind of in the past is like just nod your head, give me a thumbs up, let me know that you're hearing me, you know what I mean? But like any
How old are they?
14, 11, and 9.
Oh, yeah, you're right in the thick of it, girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say with your 11 and 14-year-olds, definitely with your 14-year-old. So I would watch Childhood 2.0 by yourself. And then I would definitely watch it with your 14-year-old. If your 11-year-old is mature and you're comfortable having these conversations, that movie will like open up so many they will be like, oh, yeah, I know about this.
Okay.
So I think that's one tool. That book, 14 Conversations Before 14, amazing step-by-step guides of like prompts and role plays.
Okay.
For your 9-year-old, I think the Good Pictures, Bad Pictures book would be where I would start, and then
Okay.
kind of just see temperament-wise as he ages. But I would definitely say the movie for your older two would be a really great place, because when it's not about them and they can like relate to somebody in the movie, or even say like, oh yeah, I heard about that at school.
Hmm.
I think you'd be surprised about how much they probably already know. There's also the American Girl series has
Hmm.
a series for boys now. And
Oh,
so
okay.
when I was, in the thick of it with the girls when they were 9 through 12, there's like the Care and Keeping of You, which is about like body hygiene. And then there was Friendship Conflict, and they have all of these books, and they have a boy series now too. So
Okay.
if your 9 and 11-year-old, I think that would be a really great place too.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I actually work for NAMI, and
Yeah,
we've had lots of conversations with them. We're not shy to talk about things, right? It's more
yeah.
of just
I
the
mean, it's
yeah.
no matter who you are, it's
Yeah.
still not super fun to be talking about this stuff. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are surprised about how much, I get a lot of schools that are like, wait, what? You're going to talk
Mhm.
about that? I'm like, yeah. And then the assistant principal is like, oh, that has happened like 17 times this week.
Yeah.
So
They already know.
happening, but it's just like, when we have conversations about suicide, it's
Hmm.
really hard to convince people that if you talk about it, it's not necessarily going to happen, but we have to have the conversation. And this is kind of that same sort of stigma around it. Uh,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
you're obviously doing all the right things and very well trained. So I'm sure you got this.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, of course.
Right. Last little check-in if there's any other questions.
And Jess, I don't have a question, but if I could just make a quick point for those on the phone with us, I wanted folks to know about House Bill 2093. So it is a bill that's being proposed by Representative Fink that would remove mental health education from our health education, which is currently had in our classroom. So it would no longer require schools to have any mental health education, which is frightening and terrifying, especially after today's conversation. We know our youth need this conversation more than anything. So if you know your legislators, and if you don't, you can find them out on azledge.gov, but email them and let them know that this bill is moving, and it really needs to be stopped. Mental health education is working and it's saving lives in our schools, and we need to keep it that way. Thank
Well
you.
said. Well said. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Katie, and thank you all for being here today. NAMI is always looking for volunteers, donations to help keep our programs free. And if you'd like to get involved or contribute in any way, you can always visit our website. That's namivos.org. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a